All right, will everyone stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The March 4th, 2026 meeting of the City Council will now come to order at 6 p.m. Winnie, may we please have roll call?
Jessica Ayers.
Here.
Nick Card. Kevin Keating. Here. Mike Kurlinger.
Here.
John Quinn.
Here.
Zach Smith.
Here.
Kevin Stein.
Here.
And Garrett West. We have 6 present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Let's move on to City Manager reports. Ms. Grady?
Somebody's got control of the mouse. Is that you? Thank you. Good evening, Madam President and Council. Debbie Grady, your Deputy City Manager, here to give you a City Manager update. First thing I'd like to do is give a congratulations and an acknowledgement of excellent work to Cassie Neer. Cassie Neer is our court supervisor, and she was recently recognized with a Tyler Excellence Award for Operational Efficiency. Tyler Technologies is a national software firm with a broad suite of public sector models, including courts and justice. This national award highlights Cassie's leadership in modernizing our municipal court operations. Cassie helped lead the transition to paperless workflows and more efficient case management, while also expanding online access to court records and dockets for the public. Cassie will be recognized by Tyler at their national conference in April. We thank Cassie for her exceptional work and representation of the City of Medford. Her work reflects both her commitment to public service and the city's continued investment in improving access, transparency, and efficiency in our court system. Thank you, Cassie. Next, we'd like to share an opportunity that we're exploring. In May of last year, the federal government announced an accelerated disposition of the James Redden Courthouse. Priority for acquisition or conveyance of the courthouse is first given to other federal agencies, then homeless service agencies, followed by local and state agencies. The application process for other federal agencies and homeless services has closed. Currently, the Government Services Administration, GSA, is accepting letters of interest from local and state agencies. On March 2nd, City Manager Pro Tem Vial submitted a letter of interest on behalf of the city to GSA to potentially acquire the property through public benefit conveyance. While we are in the early stages of this process, staff are working to gather records and evaluate the building to better understand potential upgrades required, repair needs, and seismic considerations, along with public benefit uses. At this point, there are no decisions on acquisition cost, timing, or potential occupants, but we believe it could represent an interesting and exciting opportunity for the city should the building prove to be a viable option. We'd also like to thank our Planning Director, Michelle King, for her preliminary research and outreach on this process. Thank you, Michelle. Upcoming meetings to highlight for you. Next Wednesday, there's a joint study session with the Planning Commission. It will be held over in the Prescott Room. The March 18th council meeting will be the third and final meeting in the establishment of the Economic Improvement District. This will involve a public hearing, then a council decision on whether or not to approve the EID. The April 8th study session has a presentation scheduled from Harry Weiss and our So Ready Executive Director, Blair Sundell, regarding opportunity zones. We have a link to an educational webinar we thought would be beneficial to you all, so we'll send it out prior to the meeting. Other items for discussion include the TSAP and Main Street alternatives from Public Works. And that is my update. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Any questions? All right, I'd just like to say congratulations, Cassie. Okay, moving on to item 30, recognitions, community group reports. We have So Ready quarterly update with Blair Sundell.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the council. This is my first presentation to you all since being appointed the executive director here at So Ready. I know many of you and just saw you all the other day, so thank you for coming to our annual breakfast. I think it was a good event and it was nice to see a good turnout from the council. So in this first report, what I would like to do is, instead of providing metrics and other items about what So Ready has been up to, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our vision and make sure that it is in alignment with what Medford needs and what makes So Ready a useful organization to all of you. So the first thing that I would like to mention is that So Ready is turning a new chapter. It's time for us to reevaluate our place in the economic development world and how we interact with our local jurisdictions and private industry. So, as you've probably already heard from the annual event that you may have attended and the Chamber Forum presentation on the 8th of December, this is something where we are reevaluating, and we are currently in a strategic planning process to figure out exactly how we add value to communities, how we interact with those communities, and then how we merge the private sector with what we're doing in government so that we can all achieve the same goals that we have. And this really is just a reflection of the fact that as times change, organizations need to change with it. One of the first things that I want to mention is that So Ready is going to be moving toward not so much of a process-oriented focus, but an action-oriented focus. So, put it this way. In order to have action, you have to have meetings, but having meetings doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have action. You can have 50 meetings that lead to nothing, and those things are worthless. I hate meetings, of city council meetings aside from that. Those are great meetings. But even in your meetings, you discuss things and then you act on them. And that's what I want to see So Ready starting to do going forward, is more action, less process. The processes are necessary, but again, they're the means to the end. One of the first things I noticed in this position, and actually when I applied for it, was that Southern Oregon operates in silos. And the interesting thing about it, and I think this is the positive aspect, is that it just means that people are moving in the same direction, but they're in different lanes. So long as we can get in the same lane, then we can start to work on regional priorities together. So think about it from the standpoint of, we have this economic development strategy that we do every 5 years, and we call it the One Rogue Valley. So instead of that becoming just a document that we try to execute on, but it likely sits on a shelf and grows dust, let's live that document and let's work together toward those priorities. What this means for us is we're in a unique position to coalesce partners throughout the region, cities, counties, and private industry, and that's exactly what we intend to do. An example of how we've done that starting this legislative session was we're actually involved in those legislative priorities. First thing we did is when our lobbyists came out and said, here are a couple of big economic development packages, I went through them as quickly as I could, and then I reached out to cities and counties and said, would you like for us to work on these priorities together? Can we all get on the same page? We won't agree on everything, but can we get on the same page with what is going to be good with balancing private industry moving forward and cities and counties? I will say that I defected a little bit from some of my counterparts because enterprise zones was a big one that was being talked about this time around, and there was a big extension on the tax abatement period. And my pushback was taxes are important to local counties and cities. And so we can support many of the changes, but let's see where the cities and counties and our private industry can all come together and agree. And then let's fight with one unified voice in Salem, as opposed to everybody chirping with smaller voices. That's a key priority and an area that I think So Ready can really help unify the entire region. And then providing the region with data so that we're operating with intelligence when we're making policy decisions. A lot of times it's difficult as a policymaker to hear from a handful of constituents and say, I see the problem, I think I understand the common denominators, now let's try to solve that. If we can help augment that by providing good quality data, then we know exactly how to pinpoint the issues that we seek to solve. The dashboard that we rolled out on our annual event has already garnered a lot of interest around the whole region and actually throughout the whole state. And one of the things that we're doing now is pulling in how do we provide even more granular level data around housing. The Housing Authority of Jackson County wants to figure out how can we use this information to help drive better decisions, because we'll know exactly what it is we need to solve. So those are some of the core things that I think So Ready was perfectly positioned to bring to market, and we did that so far. And then thinking outside the box about how to bring tools and resources to the region that will make us ultimately more competitive. I've done a survey on the types of programs that are available that we have not been using down here, but they have been effectively using in some of our peer regions all across the state. A few of them are opportunity zones. We had very low volume of projects that happened down here in the 1.0 program, and we are embarking on the 2.0. We'll talk about that in the April 8th meeting. This has the ability to completely change the face of a community. Erie, Pennsylvania is an excellent example of this. When the first program came out, that was a community that had been on a downward spiral for many years. They leveraged the program, got private investment into their communities. They revitalized 8 historic buildings. They created 250 jobs by investing in 25 different businesses, built a grocery store in a food desert, built 110 homes, and a few other things that actually catapulted that community into what Forbes said was one of the biggest communities on the rise due to the program. So what we want to do this time is not see a couple of one-off projects happen. We want to create an entire strategy around that. And then So Ready is perfectly positioned to go outside the region, find private capital, advertise what it is we're trying to build here, and get that investment into the community. So it's things like that that we feel we can bring on a regional level to improve the competitiveness of our region and help push forward large economic development projects and housing projects that honestly right now some of them just lack a piece of capital to get it across the finish line. One of those is working with SOU out in Ashland. They're a prime example of one that is going to be able to use this program to potentially turn the course of what the public situations it's out there resulted in with the PRS partnership. These are the types of things that we want to focus on. New market tax credits. We have had very, very little to no use of that program down here. That's a federal tax subsidy that can catalyze projects. CPACE, again, another one to help rehabilitate industrial development bonds to lower the cost of capital for businesses. These are things that we don't need to have as our own programs, but we need to bring them to market so that we can help businesses and communities be more competitive. And then when we talk about recruitment and supporting existing businesses, we need to do it with a unified front and leverage our region's assets. No longer are we going to be talking about the fact that we have cheap capital and tax abatements. We're more than that. Our community has more to offer than that. And so what we're going to be doing is leveraging the assets that we have, the connections that we have, the fact that we know people inside government that can help with permitting, cut red tape. We know businesses, we have a short list of them that will be willing to talk about the labor supply and help businesses that are out of the area figure out if this is a region that they need to relocate to. And then when it comes to existing businesses, we're connecting them business to business so they can share best practices and become a stronger business community. So with that, I will just leave. I've got some more things we can talk about here, but I think one of the most important things I want to know from the city is with that change in focus, what makes a useful so ready to all of you, because we've been around for 40 years and we want to make sure that we are relevant, that we are doing what it is that the city would like to see us do as a partner, a funding partner. We have an MOU we've put together, but I'm open for questions and suggestions and would like to know where we take this next.
Any questions or comments for Blair?
Council President,
Yes, Mr. Stein.
thank you. Mr. Sundell, the things that you spoke about, especially at the beginning, is music to my ears. Not having meetings just to have meetings, not developing, reports just to have reports, but actually making actions. I'm looking forward to what you and your team are able to bring back to us in the future. And your last question there, I would say it's ideas that you could have for us, right? So my expectations are you bring specific items for the council that, is that policy choices, is that going after certain funding mechanisms. Those are the things that are most beneficial, in my opinion, of actionable items that maybe we're not doing as a city, things that are available, and having that policy discussion of trying to bring things into the city that are out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. That's an excellent point. I do want to give a shout out to the staff that I've worked with here. They have been very, very collaborative, willing to figure out ways that we can work together on a number of priorities, and that has been very refreshing. It's been nice to be welcomed by the city, and not just the council, but the city staff as well. So just for what that's worth, I'm really looking forward to the future, and we'll definitely take that into consideration.
All right, anything else? Okay, thanks, Blair, for
All right.
your time.
Thank you.
And just for the record, I think that you're doing a great job. And there's already been numerous positive changes. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to item 40, oral requests and communications. The City Council sets aside 30 minutes for in-person public comments. Comments are limited to 2 minutes per person or organization. As outlined in the agenda, the public may also submit written comments to the council. Winnie, please note the written comments received for the record.
We received written comments from 34 people. The following 19 people wrote in support of option 3 for the Main Street reconfiguration: Sherry Kittle, Abigail Schilling, Zoe Barton, Andy and Emily Whitlock, Chris Fott, Warren Kahn, Gloria Thomas, Caitlin Kinney, Becky Escobel, Christine Coltolero, Justin Carson, John Allen Walker, Virginia Hodson, Samantha no last name, Marlon Hernandez, Amber Weaver, Tyler Pickett, Alicia Higley, Amelia Brown. The following 15 individuals did not indicate a preference for option 3. However, they requested that the council revisit its decision to restore Main Street to its prior configuration: Brandon Binger, Amanda Dixon, Danielle C.A., Brandon Hebison, Chrissy Milner, R.M. Hart, Ariel Love, Bob Morse, Brianna Bozeman, Ross Woodward, Chloe Bell, Alessandro Venny, Laura McCormick, Akita Cat, and Carmen Whitlock. The comments were submitted to the mayor, the city council, and appropriate staff. Comments are also available on the city's website. There were no other written comments received for agenda item 40.
Thank you. Before hearing public comments, I would like to note the decorum policy for the council chambers. The use of noisemakers or disruptive audience behavior such as applause, cheering, or shouting is not permitted. Decorum violations are time-consuming and disrespectful to the speaker and all attendees. Failure to follow the basic standards of decorum may result in removal from the meeting. Finally, I would like to emphasize that this is your opportunity to provide comments to the council and is not intended to be a time for questions and answers. If you have completed a public comment form, please come to the front of the room when your name is called. The time is 6:19. Public comments will be heard until 6:49 p.m. Just a note, we'll probably go a little bit longer on this tonight. We know we have a lot of speakers here, so we'll try to get through everyone. Don't feel obligated to use your entire 2 minutes if you don't need to, and that will potentially allow us to hear from more people. Winnie, has anyone completed a public comment form for tonight's meeting?
Yes, Madam President, we have, I think, 14. So the first three would be Emily Whitlock, Andy Whitlock, and Mark Milner.
Okay, would those people please come forward?
My name is Emily Whitlock, owner of M's Blends on Main Street. Main Street is not a highway. It is the heart of downtown Medford. It's where people park, cross the street, shop, and build community. Turning it back into 3 lanes makes it a faster thoroughfare, and it hurts the very thing we're all saying we want, a thriving, walkable downtown. I need to be clear about a misconception. People think that they voted and that this was a mandate. It was not a vote. It was an online survey. Only 3% of respondents with no residency verification, meaning anyone could click. I personally have spoken to people who have admitted that they clicked multiple times from different IP addresses. That alone tells us it wasn't reliable, and the council's own decision was tied, so this clearly is not a mandate. I'm also confused by the process. If city staff recommended option 3, if the chamber supports it, and if the businesses and building owners most impacted are asking for it, why was the motion framed as a yes or no on option 1? Who were we listening to? A flawed survey should never outweigh the lived reality of the people operating on Main Street every single day. And what is the rush? Doesn't anybody realize that if we wait a little longer, we won't have to pay back a $500,000 grant? Why would we sprint into the most expensive, most disruptive path when time could give our city more flexibility? My husband and I have been downtown for 3 years, but we made a huge decision just shy of 1 year ago to move into a larger space so that we could bring both our retail and our production to Main Street. We put a large portion of our savings into that move. We haven't even settled, we haven't even caught our breath, and now we are bracing for months of construction and closures. For a small business, that isn't inconvenient, that is survival. But if something has to change, then make it better for the future. Don't just react to the loudest voices. Think critically, choose the smartest, most balanced path, option 3, and please don't repeat another bad decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Andy Whitlock, M's Blends, 232 East Main. 5th generation Southern Oregonian. My family has been in the Rogue Valley since 1854. The survey this decision was built on has a history. In 2022, a talk radio host urged his multi-county audience to flood a Medford transportation survey called Bike Lane Supporters the Spandex Bike Mafia. Your own transportation commission flagged it. Staff confirmed they couldn't filter out non-residents. 3 years later, same topic, same show, same audience, 1,000 fraudulent duplicates thrown out. Still no residency verification. That's the foundation under $1 million decision. At least I live here. Even the mayor said from this dais that he cannot see how 3 lanes make sense on Main Street. Staff agreed, the chamber agreed, we agree. We're asking this council to agree with him too. Since we started speaking up, we've been told to leave, threatened with boycotts by people who've never been through our door and worse, for asking the city to save $410,000. Apparently showing up makes you a complainer. The same talk radio host who manipulated surveys on this topic in 2022 is still at it. The same one who regularly hosts local elected officials. Funny how that works. We've been in business nearly 3 decades. In downtown Medford for 3. We moved our production to Main Street a year ago. Now this council is going to tear up our street for months. Some of these businesses will be going through that for a second time to install a configuration that costs $410,000 more and that staff did not recommend. Yes, we said publicly that we're evaluating our future here, so is every other business owner on this street. How does any business owner or investor trust that what this city builds today won't be torn out tomorrow? Central Point and Grants Pass are investing in their downtowns right now. Medford is paying $410,000 extra to go backwards. I doubt that's the pitch economic development is leading with. Over 50 businesses, investors, and organizations support option 3, most of them downtown, many on Main Street itself. And that number is growing. I've submitted that list to this council. We just lost Rogue Ware to Central Point. Those are the people who make it downtown, deep roots, long commitments, give them reasons to stay, not reasons to leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Winnie, I think we got to get there. I have not used the overhead before, so give me a second here.
I'll allow it.
It's all up, great. Mr. Sundell, when you were talking about all of us getting in the same lane, were you referring to 2 or 3 lanes? Do you like the fashion statement? It could be a new logo for Medford. Anyway, I'm here to talk about optics, and I think we've got some good optics to see. This is the list of downtown business owners and building owners that we have rallied to support option 3. And as you can see from the list in front of you, we hit 50, and that list is growing daily. I just want to go down the list here in alphabetical order and just let you see all of these names and realize that we have a real momentum going at this moment. I have never noticed in the 25 years of being on Main Street such downtown business community pride. We have a high civic self-esteem, and our morale is high because I see this movement as being strong and growing. And every time I go down to a business and knock on their front door and talk to a business owner or a building owner and explain the issue to them, they understand what is at stake here, and they support this cause to going back to option 3 and the new configuration when you explain it to them. I just feel a lot of people are uneducated about what it is we're trying to accomplish here. So I would just say in the last 30 seconds that I have, and as you can see all the businesses, and I wanted everyone in the audience to see that, unscientifically, I went down to the corner of Central and Main at the light there and observed the traffic flow on Central with 2 lanes. By far, there is twice as many cars traveling north-south on Central as is Main. But for some reason, we need to add another lane for half the amount of traffic that flows down Main. So that's all I really have to say, but thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Winnie, can you call the next 3, please?
We have David Browder, Ren Cable, and Hannah Rarick.
Madam President and members of the Medford City Council, I'm David Browder, speaking on behalf of Siskiyou Velo Bicycle Club. First, we want to thank the City Council for including discussion of the Main Street reconfiguration on the agenda for your study session on April 8th. We recognize the decision made on January 21st was made after consideration of public feedback, safety, parking, costs, business impacts, and biking accommodations. However, since then, you have received numerous written and verbal inputs questioning that decision. We hope the outpouring of support for a safer Main Street has demonstrated that there are at least as many people who are opposed to returning to the previous configuration as those who have criticized the current configuration. Including reconfiguration on the April 8th agenda demonstrates that you are continuing to listen to the community. Second, we want to address those councilors who voted to return Main Street to its previous configuration. We think that vote may have been premature. We consider it prudent to identify all of the implications associated with each option before selecting a specific option. Specifically, is it fiscally responsible to select an option that requires using city funds to repay the multimodal grant? Does returning Main Street to the previous configuration comply with ODOT Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Implementation Plan, the City of Medford Transportation System Plan, the City of Medford Transportation Safety Action Plan. Is it even feasible to restore Main Street to a configuration and be compliant, the original configuration, and be compliant with the current city, state, and national transportation safety requirements? We understand the council feels compelled to do something. We believe options exist that address the criticism the council has received while keeping Main Street safe for cyclists and pedestrians. We strongly encourage you to take the time necessary to identify all the costs and implications associated with each option and reach a decision that truly reflects the needs and priorities of the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening again, friends. Rain Cable, Ward 2. I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about survey design and the way that surveys can be gone horribly wrong. We've already heard that the survey didn't control for anybody taking it from outside of the Rogue Valley. And I have a few figures for you. Out of the approximately 3,100 non-bot and non-duplicate survey responses, 911 were from outside of the Rogue Valley. That's approximately 29.4% of the entire survey response. Out of those, 359 were from Portland, 105 were from Eugene, 145 were from San Jose, 78 from Seattle. The United Kingdom overwhelmingly preferred option 3. Japan wanted option 2. And Thailand was split evenly between options 1, 2, and 4. The survey also didn't take into account a number of different biases and survey design configurations or considerations. Those being the order bias, basically people gravitate towards the order in which options are presented. Label anchoring, that the way that an option is labeled implies an implicit rank for that option. Primacy bias, which people leave things in order that they're presented in when they present a survey, if they're not entirely engaged. There was only a single question asked, so no validation or follow-up, to make sure that the survey responses were consistent across all of the different options. And there was no randomization of the options and no follow-up given. I'd urge the council not to consider this a scientific or valid survey in deciding what option to go with, and I'd really prefer to see the council revisit their decision on Main Street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Hannah Rarick, Ward 4. And so I don't know too much about the options yet. I'll be looking into that. But as a wheelchair user and a hand cyclist, the bike lanes made downtown accessible for me. I'm much shorter than cars, so without them, I would be stuck to hand cycling on the sidewalks, navigating curb cuts, sidewalk grades, gutters, puddles, all of that. So I just wanted to say, as a wheelchair user and a hand cyclist, I like the current configuration, but I will be looking into the options and seeing what those are about. Thank you.
Thank you. Winnie, can we call the next 3, please?
Logan Bell, Josh Moffett, and Alex Golden.
Good evening, counselors. Is this on? It's really nervous looking up to you all. Or I'm nervous. Okay, well, I'm going to give a little bit of a history lesson here.
Can you give your name?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Can you give your name,
Yes.
please?
My name is Logan Bell, and I reside in Ward 1. In 1971, there was a fellow by the name of Don Stathos. He was a Jackson County representative for the state of Oregon. And he sponsored the now famous Bicycle Bill of Oregon. This bill was revolutionary. It guaranteed 1% of highway funds to be dedicated to bicycle and pedestrian pathways in Oregon, and states have modeled it throughout the nation. What Medford is doing is by reverting Main Street to its original configuration it's really a disgrace to Don and his legacy. That bill originated from Southern Oregon, and it should be something that we are proud of. And instead of tearing down a perfectly good bike path, we should instead be using the money to be building out more bike paths. So I would ask this council to please reconsider their decision to go back to the original configuration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about the Main Street bike lane. My name is Josh Moffett. I live 3 blocks away on 6th and Ivy. I work for Verity Construction, which rents an office on 6th and Front. And our company also owns a building on West Main that fronts the bike path, 131 West Main. We purchased this building right before the construction of the bike lane. Most of my life happens downtown. I work out at the Y. I jog downtown 3 mornings a week. And much of my social life happens within a few blocks from where I live and work. About 98% of my life is spent downtown, and I get around almost entirely by walking. My son is a student at RCC. He regularly visits the library, Astral Games, and gatherings at Medford Drop, all downtown. He walks or rides his scooter from our apartment to each of these places and back. As a family that lives and spends most of our time downtown, we're grateful for the bike lane. It makes everyday walking, and for my son scootering, feel safer and more comfortable. As an employee of a locally owned general contractor, I'm grateful for the bike lane. We often work with families moving to Medford from places like Portland and the Bay Area. Features like safe bike infrastructure are exactly the kind of things people look for when deciding where they want to live, giving our company more opportunities to build custom homes. And anecdotally, most of the complaints I hear about the bike lane come from people who live and work outside of downtown and drive on Main once or twice a week. The complaint I hear the most is that the bike lane looks unfamiliar or inconvenient to drive through. I don't want to downplay the hardships that people from East Medford and Central Point have to endure by driving on something strange. Certainly their voices should be heard, but I hope that when decisions are being made about the bike lane, adequate weight is given to the people who live, work, and spend their daily lives downtown. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alex Golden, Ward 4, Madam President, love the new title. Counselors, thank you for seeing me for the 3rd time. You may have noticed I only own 1 nice shirt. I'm here today to complain, unconstructively. I don't want option 3. I don't want it at all. I think option 3 is a begrudging concession that I should have to make. But I also recognize that the current bike lane has generated some friction. It's generated friction in the driving community. It's strange, like was just mentioned. It's generated friction in the biking community too. Having to merge across a lane of traffic that's narrowing from 2 to 1 or 1 to 1, and a strange sidewalk thing in the middle causes cyclists to just get off, walk, and then get back on their bike. If you designed a bike lane, a 2-way bike lane that was built to fail, you would design it very similar to the one that is there. Nonetheless, it is the least worst bike lane Medford has ever built. The Greenway is isolated. There's no one there if you need help. And everywhere else in the city is either so torn down that you're just avoiding cars well because cars are avoiding that street, or you're protected by a 6-inch line of paint, which, as we all know, is magical and keeps everyone from getting hurt ever. I would like to see more, not fewer, protected bike lanes. So I'm not here to promote option 3. I'm here to begrudgingly accept option 3 if you choose to revisit this and go that direction. I'm actually here to urge you to pause. Revisit what a good bike lane downtown might look like. Revisit these options. And rather than throwing away $500,000 doing something that a few people have complained about, myself included at this point, spend that money, if you must, on reimagining what a good protected bike lane structure in Medford could look like, and how we can spread that from downtown outwards. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Winnie, next 3.
Howard Say, Brianna Pollard, and Casey O'Rourke.
Hi, and thank you for having me. My name is Howard C. Pronounced weird, but my wife also wrote in. We moved to the Rogue Valley in 2018 into Ashland, and then moved a year and a half later when a drunk driver hit our car that was parked in the street. And we knew the street wasn't safe because it was very narrow and there were no sidewalks. And my children were taught to run into people's front yards when they were on their bikes or playing in the front yard because it was dangerous, and that was the final straw. So we moved to South Medford because we loved the street and we loved that our children could walk and bike around town. And since then, we bike down up to the Pear Festival. My wife works on Main Street, and we enjoy living and playing downtown and around. But I don't know what the best option is, but I know that when there was a 3-lane road downtown, felt very unsafe to ride the bike. Walking around, even there are obstacles walking a bike around. Since the bike lanes have gone in, we can ride around and we feel safe in that. So whatever the decision is made, I hope that we don't revert back to the previous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Brianna Pollard. I'm part of Ward 4. Thank you, Council, for listening to public comment on this. I am here to support option 3. I mean, it's the best of the options. I heard a fellow commenter say that maybe even we pause and look at other options, and I would support that as well. But I am a bicyclist, I'm a runner, I am a food enthusiast, and I'm also a part of this community, and downtown does need help, and I thought the bike lanes were a step in the right direction for sure, and would be really sad to see them go, because I think it actually has brought even a little bit of beauty to downtown, where before it was just very much like a throwaway and people were just going too fast, and it didn't help the businesses and didn't help revitalize that area, because it is historic and could be a cool place to hang out. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Council. Casey O'Rourke, resident cyclist in Ward 4. I just want to make the simple request of the Council to revisit the vote and to choose an option, whether it be the same option we have now currently, or option 3, or a totally new option for safe accessibility to the downtown area. That way we're not backpedaling into the past, and we want to see future growth of this city for all of the people here and the residents. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Winnie, can we get the next 3, please?
The last 2, Brendan Binger and Amanda Meineke.
Good evening, council members. Brendan Binger, Ward 2, 754 South Holly Street. Since there have already been numerous comments on the merits of the current configuration from a significant cross-section of the community, tonight I want to focus on how we got here. The streetscape we have behind you folks today is not an accident. It is a culmination of years of careful, data-driven work by our city planning department in collaboration with state authorities and expert consultants that included public input at multiple stages. The friction that you may have experienced in response to the current configuration is not a failure of the built environment. It is a failure of change management. The existing configuration is already succeeding according to every available urban design measurement that I am aware of. It is imperative to consider that this project essentially fast-forwarded our downtown through a century of urban design evolution in a single step. The whiplash our community felt was a direct result of a decades-long systemic failure to incrementally keep pace with modern safety standards. Because this corridor had not been meaningfully updated in over 50 years, the necessary leap was bound to cause discomfort. This friction is not the fault of anyone in leadership today. It is simply a symptom of long-term stagnation that finally required a significant correction. Let's be clear, this is not a bike issue. It is an issue of public safety and inclusive transportation that benefits everyone. It enhances the quality of life for our downtown businesses, visitors, and residents alike. It undeniably makes the corridor safer for the very drivers navigating it via reduced speeds and fewer accidents. While better public education, both before and after the rollout, might have helped ease discomfort, the undeniable reality is that even then, some citizens would still feel unhappy. We must ultimately recognize that we do not need to like public infrastructure for it to be successful. What matters is that it serves the primary purpose of increasing safety and providing optimal utility across the broadest possible range of uses. Please prevent a disastrous step backward. Do not discard years of careful and dedicated planning. Trust the guidance and commitment of our city staff. Trust the data. Do not revert to the pre-2023 configuration. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Council members, my name is Amanda Meinke. I'm a Ward 4 resident, a homeowner. I've spoken before asking you to reconsider the Main Street bike lane revision. On February 4th, 15 of the 17 people who showed up to give public comment and ask for revision were downtown business owners. These are the people with the most skin in the game. There's now, as we've seen, 50 downtown business owners and building owners who are against a full revision. We hope that this council can revisit this decision. The business community is asking for it, the data supports it, and we keep showing up because we believe Medford can make a better choice. People have a lot of options of where they can live, and infrastructure like the bike lane signals so strongly about where this town is headed. Option 3 still exists. It costs half as much, it preserves the safety gains, and has the support of the people who live and work on Main Street every day, and those who will live here for decades to come. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone here tonight that did not complete a public comment form and would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the minutes. Item 50, approval or correction of the February 18, 2026 meeting minutes. We have all received the draft minutes from the February 18, 2026 regular meeting. Does anyone have any revisions or corrections to those minutes? Garrett's not here, so yes.
No, since Garrett was gone, I took it upon myself to find possibly the most trivial correction ever, which was that HCDC discussed the Enclipti tax something instead of the other one, and Winnie already fixed it.
Fantastic.
I was just really proud of myself for being Garrett for a night.
Great job. Thanks for stepping up.
Thanks, yeah.
All right. If there are no further corrections, the meeting minutes will stand as corrected. Okay, item 60, consent calendar. There are 2 items on the consent calendar tonight. Mr. Minton.
Thank you, Madam President. Item 6.1 is Council Bill 2026-16, an ordinance approving and authorizing execution of a contract in the amount of $2,296,965 with Knife River Materials, Inc. to perform asphalt pavement overlays on various streets in the city of Medford. And 60.2 is Council Bill 2026-17, a resolution to certify qualified nonprofit corporation low-income housing property tax exemptions, or Enclipties, for the 2026-2027 tax year in the amount of $43,790.74 for 21 nonprofit owned or operated properties within the city of Medford as listed in Exhibit A.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar. Does anyone want to remove anything from the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
All right, items to be removed comes after that.
I was just checking, I'm sorry.
Thanks, man. Okay, seeing none, Winnie, could we have a roll call, please?
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Mike Kurlinger,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
and Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 6 yes.
Thank you very much. That passes. I feel like I have a backseat driver over here.
I'm never going to question you again, I'm sorry.
All right. So moving on, we don't have any ordinance and resolutions for consideration tonight. So we will move on to item 90, public hearings. Before the public hearing, I would like to remind everyone that the rules of decorum previously outlined are still applicable. Violation of the decorum policy may result in your removal from the chambers. This evening, we have 1 land use quasi-judicial hearing. If you would like to speak during this hearing, please complete a blue public comment form to be called forward. Comments for quasi-judicial hearings are limited to a total of 30 minutes for applicants and/or their representatives. A 5-minute rebuttal time may be requested. Appellants and/or their representatives are limited to a total of 30 minutes, and if the applicant is not the appellant, they will also be allowed a total of 30 minutes. All other participants will be limited to 4 minutes. Quasi-judicial hearings have specific requirements which City Attorney Eric Mitten will outline before the hearing begins. 90.1, Mr. Mitten.
Thank you, Madam President. Item 90.1 is Council Bill 2026-18, an ordinance proclaiming annexation to the City of Medford for a single undeveloped parcel totaling approximately 38.75 acres located east of Sage Road, north of Ross Stanley Drive, south of Mason Way, and west of Highway 99. The county zoning designation of general industrial will be changed to the city's general industrial zone with a limited industrial overlay. The property will be removed from Medford Rural Fire Protection District Number 2. And because this is quasi-judicial, I've got a few rules to read. I'm going to explain the rules that govern this hearing. Before the hearing begins, city staff will give a report. The report will list the criteria that governs the city's decision. After the staff report, the hearing will be open for other speakers. The applicant will speak first and may ask for rebuttal time. Following the applicant, any other interested person will be allowed to speak. Before the hearing is closed, anyone who needs more time to present evidence must ask for more time. If you ask, the hearing will be continued or the record will be kept open, and you'll have at least 7 days to present additional written evidence. Any testimony, argument, or evidence you give must relate to the criteria listed in the staff report or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or land use regulations that you believe apply to this decision. If you fail to raise an issue or do not give the council sufficient information so that the council and any party can respond, you will not be able to appeal that issue to the Land Use Board of Appeals. If you do not raise constitutional or other issues about any proposed condition with specificity so that the council can respond to that issue, you'll not be able to bring a court action for damages. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a land use quasi-judicial matter. Before we begin considering this item, does anyone have conflicts of interest or ex parte contacts to report? Seeing none, may we have a staff report, please?
Yes, and thank you, Madam President. I've always wanted to say that. Thank you, Madam President. And good evening, councilors. I am Kelly Aiken with your planning department. So I have a pretty brief presentation for you this evening on the timber products annexation. Pretty unusual, this one. Okay, that's awesome. Okay. All right, okay, there we go. Oh, what's going on with the tech tonight? Okay, so we are in West Medford. This is the Timber Products property on the north side of Highway 238 and on the east side of Sage Road. As always, we start off with our approval criteria and your authority in this matter. The approval criteria for annexation is found in Land Development Code Section 10.216. They're displayed here and have been thoroughly addressed in your council report, and staff has found that the criteria are either satisfied or not applicable in this particular matter. And the City Council is the approving authority for annexations under the code. So as I mentioned, we're at Sage Road and Highway 238. The property is just shy of 39 acres. The general land use plan map designation is heavy industrial. The county's zoning designation is general industrial. So the proposed zoning is to the city's general industrial designation, and then applying that IOO, the limited industrial overlay. And what the overlay does is it lets us know that we didn't go through a zone change process, so that the infrastructure facilities have not been tested for adequacy. So that's water, sewer, street, and storm drain. So what the IOO does is it's a flag, basically, just to let us know that that work has not yet been done. And then, of course, we'll also remove from Fire District 2. The first criterion is that the property is located within the urban growth boundary. The UGB is the red line on the map, so we're east of the UGB and well within that boundary. For the second criterion, the land is contiguous to the city limits. This is an interesting question. So the property was reconfigured in the county so that it's just the green area that you see. The city limits are actually in Sage Road, so the property is not contiguous to the city boundary. However, there's a statutory provision that allows properties to be annexed when they are interrupted by a natural feature, a stream, or a public right-of-way. So in this case, that criterion is also satisfied. You're wondering why we're not annexing the right-of-way. There's Mr. Vile, oh, I wish he was here to explain this. So there's always some discussion between the city and the county about accepting jurisdiction and the correct time to do that. By not annexing the right-of-way at this time, that solves that problem. Under an agreement with the county, we'll accept the right-of-way when it's improved to city standards. So that will come later. The third criterion requires owner consent and electric consent. The property is vacant with the exception of the nesting geese that are there. And then the applicant is the property owner. So that criterion is also satisfied. And then finally, the fourth criterion doesn't apply to this case. That applies to the urban reserve or urban growth expansion areas from 2018. So with that, staff is recommending approval. I did want to mention that because we're near an election, that this annexation won't be able to be effective until after the May election. So with that, I'm happy to take questions.
Mike?
Is there, I can't remember off the top of my head, which is embarrassing. Does the city have a heavy industrial zoning, and is there a reason we're not going heavy to heavy? We're going heavy to general?
So the county zoning is general industrial. Our GLUP map designation, our comprehensive plan designation is heavy industrial. So that comp plan allows the general industrial designation. So we're going from general to general.
Sorry, I conflated the GLUP with the zoning.
Easy to do.
Any other questions? Council Quinn?
Kelly, nice to see you as always.
And thank you, you too.
Or should we use last names? Do you know what they're planning to build, just out of curiosity?
I have no idea. So I'm confident that Mr. Harlan will be able to answer that question for us. I hear him moving back there.
I'm supportive of it. I'm just curious what they have planned.
Yeah, I don't know. Me too.
Any questions from Councilor Stein in the cloud?
Thank you. Why is the shape the way it is? Why is there like 100, 200 feet of border around what would enter the
by the railroad and then north south of Mason Way? That's another good question, Councilor, for the applicant. I suspect that they wanted to retain some rail frontage, but again, I really am not sure. It's a good question.
Okay, that's the thing that has stuck out. It's like a very interesting. So are these different plots of land? Are these different zoned?
Are they different tax lots?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so the property was recently reconfigured. Actually, right before they applied for the annexation, they went through the effort of reconfiguring the properties in the county. So this is what's before us. I don't know why they didn't take the whole 50 acres. I don't know.
Okay, I just think a little bit long term about how having little gaps like that is probably not in the best interest of the city, but I'm happy to hear more from the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? All right. Seeing no further questions at this point, I will open the public hearing. At this point, anyone wishing to speak on the subject, please come forward as called. Please identify yourself for the record before speaking. The applicant's representative will speak first. Oh, look, it's Mr. Harlan.
Good evening, councilors. For the record, Jay Harlan with CSA Planning, an AKS company with offices at 4497 Brown Ridge here in Medford. As usual, Kelly did a good job explaining the request. It is a fairly straightforward request to annex this just under 40-acre site. And I guess, a couple things. One is I would point out that the I-00 overlay, I mean, Kelly did describe it, does point out that you haven't done all the analyses, but it is, it does allow some level of development. Essentially, it doesn't allow mainly the highest trip generating uses, right? I mean, from a land use standpoint, the county's general industrial lets you do build all kinds of things. I mean, that's what White City is, right? That's actually where some of the biggest industrial development in the valley happens. So the I-00 overlay is really sort of like a horizontal, from a use standpoint, from county to city. The big difference in the city's industrial zoning is it allows some relatively high trip generating uses if they're relatively small, right? So for example, like a small branch bank or some fast food and stuff like that is just outright permitted in the counties or in the city's industrial zone. It's not allowed at all in the county. So that's what the I-00 overlay does. It doesn't, you can't do any of those uses until you do a full traffic analysis. So just want to point that out. And then the questions about the configuration. The main issue there is Timber Products is one of, if not the biggest rail shipper in the valley. And I think they want this configuration lets somebody move forward with a project, but also gives them the ability to provide easements and have a discussion of what type of rail traffic might be happening. So that is, they don't, to your question, Councilor Quinn, they don't have a particular plan. They don't know exactly what might go there, but that is a major concern for the plant. They want to have, they don't essentially, some rail users might result in the plant not having all the rail service and access that it wants, and they want to be able to have a say-so in that, even if the property changes hands 4 times down the road. So that's the reason. And that was our recommendation when we started the project.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Hi, Jay. So on the north, like we've got a waterway or whatever, that cutout kind of makes sense. Leaving proximity from the line to the east, excuse me, also makes sense. Is the carve out on the south for the same?
Yeah, it would also be that to allow them to get to the, it's actually bigger than you think. Like, it's a big property, so it looks small, but it's big enough to, we build things on strips much smaller than that in the city all the time. But that is also so that they have potentially some direct access on the other side of 238 to the rail if Timber Products needs that in the future.
And the current annexation application is based on the property line adjustment that was just finalized with the county, right? So what we're annexing in is just one piece of land.
That's correct, the green.
Okay.
A single piece that is now the green piece, yes.
Okay, that makes sense, thanks.
Any other questions? Councilor Quinn?
Jay, so I'm just curious. I hear you. They don't know what they're going to build. Okay. Why do they want to be annexed?
Well, I do.
For some reason, they paid for your valuable services and went through the time. I'm just curious.
Well, like I said, they don't have any particular development plans, but I do know that it's a closely held company, Timber Products, and sometimes companies like that over time, the operating company versus the legacy family have assets that need to get sorted out in terms of estate planning. So I think that's the immediate need, is this gives them flexibility from a value standpoint to deal with some family things that are sort of not my business. I try not to wade into that with clients, but I do know that's kind of some of the reason they want. This gives them additional flexibility to sort of horse trade, if you will, from an estate planning standpoint.
And getting annexed in gives more development opportunities.
Correct.
And variations, so it's more valuable land.
Yeah, I mean, just the annexation doesn't necessarily add a ton of value, but it makes it so that it's more. It doesn't have all the steps. It doesn't have the steps you need to do before you can do something with it, right? So that's the way it makes it more valuable, I guess.
Okay, thanks, Jay.
Any other questions? Councilor Stein?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so looks like we're good with that. Would you like to reserve your rebuttal time?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Did anyone complete a public comment form for this public hearing?
No, Madam President.
Is there anyone present tonight that did not complete a public comment form but would now like to speak? Seeing none. Mr. Harlan? Okay, you're good. Okay, any discussion before moving to motion? I'll entertain a motion. Oh, hold on. I will first close the public hearing. Got ahead of myself. All right, now any discussion before moving to motion? Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve Council Bill 2026-18.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none.
Real
Winnie-
quick.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes.
Yeah. I'm not thrilled with the kind of, taking just part of the land, but I mean, there's a uniqueness of Northwest Medford that it is the way it is with the industrial area there. So it'll just continue to look even more unique compared to the rest of the city. But makes sense.
Thank you. Councilor Curlinger?
Kevin, I actually don't disagree with you because I think it's funny, but when he clarified that with the lot line adjustment, this is like one parcel. It's a funny shaped parcel, but I do feel better that we're not piecemealing across property lines, even though it is a weird section. I agree with you, but it also is the uniqueness of Northwest Medford.
All right, Winnie, can we have roll call, please?
Mike Kerlinger,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
and Jessica Ayers.
Yes.
We have 6 yes.
Thank you very much. That passes. Okay, let's move on to council business. Proclamations issued. Mayor Zarazinski issued one proclamation tonight acknowledging Multiple Sclerosis Week. I will now read that proclamation. Whereas multiple sclerosis is an unpredictable, often disabling disease of the central nervous system that disrupts communication between the brain and the body, affecting nearly 1 million people in the United States, and whereas people living with MS experience a wide range of symptoms, including fatigue, mobility challenges, vision impairment, numbness, cognitive changes, and chronic pain, each case unique, making MS a complex condition that impacts individuals physically, emotionally, and socially. And whereas significant progress has been made in MS treatment with more than 20 disease-modifying therapies now available, offering hope and improved outcomes for many individuals, yet there remains an urgent need for continued research to find a cure and to ensure people diagnosed with MS can live their best lives. And whereas MS impacts not only those diagnosed, but also their families, friends, caregivers, colleagues, healthcare providers, and communities who provide essential support and encouragement. And whereas the commitment of community leaders, health professionals, nonprofits, and volunteers plays a vital role in supporting people with MS and advancing the shared goal of a world free of MS. Now, therefore, I, Michael Zarazinski, Mayor of the City of Medford, do hereby proclaim the week of March 8th through March 14th, 2026, as National Multiple Sclerosis Week in the City of Medford and urge all citizens to join us in this commemoration. Okay, now we will move on to committee reports and communications. I will now give the council officers update. I feel like I'm doing all the work up here, you guys. Okay, so number 1 on the agenda, we talked about next week's joint study session with planning, and Deputy City Manager Grady would like to know if there are any additional agenda items to discuss, and she needs that information ASAP if anybody wants to add to that agenda. So please let her know if that's the case. Number 2, Travel Medford. There is a We Are the Rogue Valley docuseries. It's going to be previewed with a social on March 19th, 2026 from 4:30 to 6 at El Paraiso. All the counselors are invited from Travel Medford. There will be a Q&A and some other information. So if you would like to attend, please RSVP to Debbie. Can we hear that date again? Yes, that is it's Thursday, March 19th, 2026, 4:30 to 6 p.m. Mr. Keating, did you raise your hand?
Microphone, please.
I was just trying to signal Debbie on the sly that, yes, I would like to go. Thanks for
very
pointing
sly.
that out.
All right.
I ruined slyness.
Okay, there was a brief discussion about the parklets, but we're going to go ahead and just talk about that at the Main Street study session discussion. And then number 4, I just brought to light the intersection at Bartlett and Stewart with the change and how I feel like there's a possibility that it's confusing to motorists, and Public Works is going to take a little bit closer look at it and see if any changes need to be made. That's it. Do we have any committee reports? Councilor Stein, anything to report?
I'll give a full report in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, now I do have some boards and commissions appointments, or I think I do. Can't find them. Okay. So we had a partial term position vacancy. We filled our planning commission vacancy with someone from Site Plan and Architectural Commission, which created a partial term vacancy on SPAC. Hal Wing, who applied for the Planning Commission, has expressed interest in serving on the commission. So I would like to appoint Hal Wing to the partial term on the Planning.
Second.
Winnie. I would like to appoint Hal Wing to the partial term on the Site Plan and Architectural Commission, with the term beginning immediately and ending January 31st, 2028.
Second. You need a second on that? I'll second. Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Moving on. We currently have 2 vacancies on the Vision Implementation Committee. Chris Payton applied for the Planning Commission and also expressed interest in serving on VIC. So I would like to appoint Chris Payton to the at-large position on the Vision Implementation Committee, with a term beginning immediately and ending January 31st, 2028.
Second.
All those in favor of that one?
Aye.
Aye.
Will it become a vision of the city that we eat more chicken?
Are you going to be the cow up there with the sign that says eat more chicken? Okay. All right. That concludes our boards and commissions appointments. Does anyone else? Oh, no, I'm sorry. We have one more item. 110 staff reports. Ms. Grady?
Nothing further.
Oh, lovely. Okay, so that brings us to item 120, adjournment. Anything else good for the order from the dais? Councilor Quinn.
This Friday, there's a Pitch Latino meeting or entrepreneurs meeting at Cafe Mestiza at 8 o'clock. I encourage everyone to have not merely 2, but 3 leches with those very nice ladies and meet some of our local entrepreneurs. Later that evening, there's going to be a related meeting at RCC, also with entrepreneurs trying to help others do their thing. So I'll be there, and I hope others will too.
Great, thank you. Anything else? Okay, seeing nothing, this meeting is adjourned at 7:12 p.m. I